Snow White gets her name not from the fairness of her skin, as we obviously know Rachel Zegler would be a miscast in that sense. Instead, she gets her name from surviving a snowstorm.
That audiences walk away from this film with an understanding of the true meaning of fairness, of what it means to be fair in this world. There is a message that's been carried on for almost 90 years now from the original animated classic. That is, fairness is what is within. Fairness is to do with your heart, the way you treat the people around you, and it has nothing to do with what you look like, and that's the misunderstanding between Snow White and the evil queen. I think it's such an important message, and the way that Disney has elevated it and brought it to this new audience is very special.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke.
I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie,
but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
I truly do believe that.
And it just goes to show you exactly why she is so universally rejected right now.
The dwarves, okay?
Okay, but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the
call them
dwarves, though?
Magical
creatures. But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group, you just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage, there's power of being on TV, there's power of television, and to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, they're remaking the movie, they just got rid, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story, don't change the characters.
This is someone who is as entitled as, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the job.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
I never watched the original Rachel Zegler's Confession shocks fans. That's right, folks. These words are sending shockwaves through Disney fandom right now, and you're about to find out why.
I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
If you've been following the live-action remake of Snow White, you already know that Rachel Zegler, the rising star who captured hearts in West Side Story, landed the iconic role of Snow White. But here's the kicker. She recently admitted she's never actually seen the 1937 animated classic that started it all.
I know this point has been made, but this truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion. But the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings.
Let that sink in for a moment. A movie that practically defined the term Disney princess, pioneered the feature-length animated film industry, and inspired generations of dreamers supposedly never once viewed by the woman chosen to bring its main character to life on the big screen. Fans from all corners of the internet are in absolute disbelief, and The Confession has sparked a flood of reactions ranging from full-on outrage to cautious curiosity. Some are calling it a complete slap in the face to Walt Disney's legacy, while others argue it might be a fresh take that the story desperately needs. But make no mistake, the controversy is real, and it's growing by the minute.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again, because this woman is a pig, and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
Doom is a love story just because, we cast a guy in the movie, Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Now, for Disney, as you probably remember, all of this publicity, the Zegler interviews, the Daily Mail leak, caused a lot of unexpected, for them anyway, pre-production problems. People weren't supposed to see and understand just how unwatchable the new Snow White was going to be. It was supposed to be, kind of a surprise, but now there was no hiding it.
Now, The Confession itself didn't arrive through some random leaked statement or hidden interview. It came straight from Zegler's own words during a media chat. People were expecting a gush fest, something like, "I grew up watching Snow White every Christmas, and I've always dreamed of singing with woodland creatures in a fairy tale forest." Instead, Rachel casually dropped that she'd never actually taken the time to watch the original film from start to finish.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
It sounds like you're one of the only ones there, just like Rachel Zegler, as it turns out, and we part with this video of Rachel Zegler alone in a theater watching herself. One of the most unlikable humans.
That
ever.
is sadder than when the original Snow White eats the apple.
Cue the jaw drops. To make matters even more intense, she implied she found the older version pretty outdated, leaving purists furious that she seemingly dismissed the magic of a revered classic in just a few offhand words. This has led to a swirl of theories. Did she purposely avoid the original to keep her performance unique, or is there genuine disregard for old-school Disney? The response has been swift and fierce. Social media timelines are on fire, comment sections are blowing up, and even mainstream outlets are starting to ask whether this confession shows a deeper disconnect between modern reboots and the timeless stories they're based on.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the boat we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two. Okay. 2.
Rachel Zegler just keeps making things worse with the Walt Disney Company. The more that she tries to defend this movie, the more that she tries to spew her agenda onto the general public, it's only making matters worse. Not just for Bob Iger, but for whatever is left of the image of Disney as a whole.
Let's be honest. If there's one surefire way to rile up Disney loyalists, it's to suggest that a brand new Snow White might be ignoring her historic roots. So, here's the real question. Is Rachel Zegler crossing a line with this confession, or is she simply being upfront about a forward-thinking interpretation that ditches the elements she deems outdated?
I just want to tell you guys about a incredible movie that just came out, Snow White. Wow. I just got to tell you, best movie I've seen in years, and there have been some really, really good films lately. Madam Web, Rebel Moon Part 1, that movie, that transgender one with the Mexican drug lord. But Snow White blows them all away. Chat, this movie has everything. Horrifying, CGI, little people, check. A feminist princess who don't need no man, double check. Diddy dance party at the end, double Diddy check. All this to say, go see Snow White right now. The new one. Not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good, upstanding guy.
Chime in down in the comments. Does her admission come across like a strategic move to modernize a classic, or does it veer into disrespect for Walt Disney's original vision? We want to hear from both sides because, trust me, the discussion is only heating up from here. And before we unravel how this entire situation spiraled into an online frenzy, go ahead and tap that like button and subscribe to the channel if drama-packed deep dives are your thing. We serve up the biggest stories in entertainment with zero fluff, just the facts, the receipts, and yes, a sprinkle of chaos to keep things interesting. When it comes to controversies like this, we break them down from every angle so you can decide for yourself who's in the right and who's in the wrong. Let's be real, nobody wants to be blindsided by half-baked clickbait. Here you get the full scoop, unfiltered and unvarnished, but also supercharged with the tensions and drama that make these stories so captivating. It's not just about Rachel's personal movie-watching habits either. Her comments opened the floodgates on a conversation about how these big-budget Disney remakes are evolving, and whether or not they honor the heart of the classics. Some fans argue that fairy tales are meant to change with the times, reflecting new social norms, new priorities, and new generational tastes. Others staunchly defend the original's pure magic, claiming it's timeless for a reason and should be respected by every actor who dares step into the glass slippers. Snow White is more than just a film. It's a symbol of Disney's legacy, the one that started it all. So when someone cast in such a culturally significant role admits they've never immersed themselves in that piece of cinematic history, you can bet it rattles the community's foundations. Stick around though, because the next part is where we peel back the layers of how this controversy exploded into the mainstream and reveal whether Rachel's confession is just a symptom of something much bigger going on behind the scenes. How did we even get here? Let's break down the moment that caused everything to boil over. It all began with what was supposed to be a routine press spot promoting Disney's upcoming live-action slate. Rachel Zegler was asked a softball question. Something along the lines of, "Were you excited to pay homage to the 1937 original Snow White?" Perfectly normal, right? Actors usually respond with how they fell in love with the classic, or how they watched it endlessly as a kid, citing cherished memories with family. Instead, Rachel dropped the now infamous line, admitting she'd never actually watched the original and didn't think it was crucial for her portrayal. In her view, there were aspects of the old film that didn't hold up to modern standards, so she chose to focus on the script she was given, along with her own sensibilities. Instantly, clips of that interview shot across social media. Disney fans, film buffs, and even casual moviegoers started chiming in with hot takes. Some argued that it's perfectly legitimate for an actor to craft a performance from a fresh perspective, free of preconceived notions. After all, if every actor was forced to slavishly imitate the source material, how would reboots ever innovate? But on the flip side, many saw this as a blatant disregard for Disney's foundational masterpiece, especially since the original Snow White isn't just a random old cartoon. It's literally a cornerstone of animation history, a labor of love that Walt Disney poured his heart and soul into at a time when nobody believed a full-length animated feature could succeed. From there, YouTube commentators, Twitter threads, and TikTok reaction videos piled on. Some made comedic sketches imagining Rachel's first viewing of the film, while others angrily declared that she was unworthy of the role. Even mainstream entertainment outlets started picking up the story, featuring headlines like, "Rachel Zegler admits she skipped Disney's Snow White, fans react." What began as a single offhand remark turned into a raging debate over creative liberty versus tradition. Then, of course, there was the money question. How would Disney handle this wave of backlash? The studio had remained mostly silent for a hot minute, likely hoping the controversy would die down on its own. But if anything, the outrage only grew. As we'll see, the conversation soon morphed into a broader critique of how Disney has been handling its live-action remakes, with Snow White now serving as the prime example of a studio that can't seem to keep everyone happy, even when they tap a talented breakout star like Rachel Zegler. And that's the story, folks. The spark that turned into an internet inferno simply because one actress decided not to watch a legendary classic before stepping into a career-defining role. Whether you think Rachel Zegler was completely in the right, way off the mark, or somewhere in the gray area in between, there's no denying that her confession rattled the Disney fandom. But if there's one thing we know for certain, it's that these live-action adaptations continue to ignite fierce debates about what it really means to honor an original film. Are we glued to tradition, or are we ready to break the mold every now and then? Rachel's remarks might just be a litmus test for how much change Disney devotees can handle when it comes to their beloved fairy tales. If you're sitting there wondering what to think, trust me, you're not alone. The chatter shows no sign of stopping, and it's fueling countless social media threads, press analyses, and even academic discussions about the evolving nature of storytelling in Hollywood. At its core, this is about more than just one actress's viewing habits. It's a microcosm of a larger tension. Nostalgia versus progress, reverence versus reinvention, and a corporate giant versus a fandom that demands consistency with the cherished classics. For now, we'll have to wait and see how this unfolds. But one thing's for sure, every interview, every social media post, and every leaked behind-the-scenes snippet will be magnified under the microscope of public opinion. Thanks for tuning in, and if you're itching for more no-nonsense celebrity news, you know exactly where to find us. Keep those comments rolling, because your takes are what fuel these conversations, and we're all about keeping the conversation alive here. From high-profile controversies to under-the-radar tidbits, we've got you covered on everything that goes down in the whirlwind world of entertainment. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and remember, in Hollywood, what seems like a small confession can spark a massive debate, one that reminds us just how passionate fans can be when it comes to preserving or transforming cherished stories.